Hello and welcome to the FX Inheritors series, where we talk to the next generation of managers in our industry. My name is Colin Lambert, I'm publisher of the FX, and I'm delighted to be joined by Mercedes Ola, who is Sales Director at Euronext FX. Mercedes, lovely to see you.
Thank you, lovely to see you too.
So we have a few standard questions we'll get into, and then we'll get into the little nuances, but can you sort of tell us how you got into FX?
Yeah, so do you want the long story or the short story?
Oh, take the long one, we can always edit.
So I think I always kind of knew that I wanted to be in finance. So for me, it was I was so interested in seeing how money moved around the world that I wanted to be in finance in some kind of capacity.
Yep.
And I also loved writing at the time, so I wanted to actually be a financial journalist.
Oh, right.
Yeah, big time of events.
I'm suddenly worried for my job.
And I did various different insight days, internships. There was even an internship that I had one time where I had to quit my part-time job to go and do it.
That's commitment.
I thought it was worth it at the time, and I ended up, I think, maybe doing 5 or 6 before I even started university. And then got to university, did my first internship at an investment manager, and I wrote articles for that bank, and I really enjoyed that kind of role. But at the time, I also had another role with a different investment bank to do sales and trading. So I ended up kind of sticking in that, and how I ended up in FX. Essentially, the internship program was rotational, and given I was doing a kind of macroeconomics-based degree, I kind of fell more into the FIC kind of side, and so explored quite a lot of the different desks there, whether that be emerging markets or commodities, for example. Also interned on the client relationship management desk, but at the last hour, I had an interview with the EFX sales desk, and the rest is kind of history.
FX always gets you in the end,
does.
doesn't it? Yeah, it
It will
does.
catch you.
Exactly. I've got several friends that are only just talking to me again after I insisted they come into FX. Yeah. I mean, so during that journey, and I guess how long has it been? 5, 7 years, something like that?
Yeah, about coming up to 7 years this year. Yeah.
So during that journey then, I mean, did mentoring and training play a role in your development?
Massively. I think definitely mentoring at the start. I don't think I would have made it this far without the mentor that I had. She was also within my EFX sales team, and I think she was a great kind of instrumental leader in terms of guidance, as well as kind of being a great sounding board, because sometimes you just need to rant about things and just double check whether what you're thinking is correct, etc., and maybe help you navigate across something that's very new and very alien to you as a graduate. So I think that she was extremely helpful within my formative years within FX. And training-wise, I was actually on the ACI dealing simulation.
You are a former victim.
I actually thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm very lucky that I have a company that's willing to sponsor me to go on a course like that, and try and understand a lot more about what it's like to be a trader, and kind of get in the mindset of that. And I think that's been very helpful, at least for me, within sales, because then I can then understand my client a lot better. So it was very helpful, very stressful, but very enjoyable.
That's good to hear. We haven't lost our touch. So, okay, obviously you're now at Euronext FX. So, what role have you got there now? And I guess this has all led to you being in this role. What are your role and responsibilities now?
Yeah, sure. So I am a sales director at Euronext, and essentially I cover various banks from South Africa to the Scandi region to Spain to Italy, Germany, Spain. So quite a lot of different regions that I cover, and help to both manage existing relationships that we have out there, as well as prospect for any new client names. So, I mean, it's great for me because I get to visit many different people across many different countries, but I also get to be in something that I really enjoy, which is marrying up the technological aspect of FX, as well as looking at the wider macro environment as well with FX.
And I guess actually, with so many varied countries in various degrees of not so much economic development, but performance. Yeah, it actually does give you quite a good contrast and quite a fresh role.
Exactly, because it's a very different pitch, I guess, across all these different countries, because they're at different levels of their electronification as well as sophistication. So what might work in one country wouldn't work in another. And I think that's kind of what makes my role quite exciting and quite interesting, because there's different challenges to overcome in each region that I get to visit, and a different bit of understanding that you need for each region as well.
Yeah, because I guess it's it's kind of the ideal role for many people, isn't it? That flexibility and variety.
Exactly. Exactly, but I think it's something that Euronext FX does quite well because we have such a wide range of currencies. For example, it means that we can better serve all those different client types, and we're always looking to kind of add more so that we can always look to service people as best we can.
So obviously, that's quite a wide remit there. What do you think are the key trends emerging in your business area?
Yeah, I think we've seen a rapid development in the use of data, and it's changed immensely since I first started out in this industry compared to now, where clients aren't just using it to improve their efficiency, but also their performance as well. And it's become something that's now a value add for us, where maybe it might not have been a product that we were actively looking to push before. And I think it's a similar kind of story for many banks, for example, where we all have the data, but it wasn't looked to as something that could be sold. But now it's so important. And I think especially with like the fragmentation of the FX market, it's become even more important to ensure that you have data from so many different sources rather than just kind of looking and relying on the primaries.
Yeah, because I guess that does become a challenge around, obviously you look at something like internalisation.
Yeah.
That becomes a big factor in this, doesn't it?
Exactly, and that's been such a massive topic in quite a lot of the clients that I speak to. And that's whether there are clients out there who already have the tools to internalise themselves, or clients that are kind of looking to do that in the future, but are kind of at that crossroads of buy or build. And I think it's very fortunate that actually at Euronext FX we've developed a product that can help with that, which we've coined the internaliser, which essentially...
Original name.
Yeah, that's what it says on the tin. But essentially it will help clients to reduce any flow being externalized, help to kind of offset against any internal flows. Say, for example, if they have any desks internally that are trading FX, where that might go outside to other vendors, they can kind of help to keep that in-house, which can help save on any information leakage as well as any kind of costs as well.
Yeah, and again, to go back to your remit, there are going to be some of your regions where the internalisation levels are much, much lower. And I guess you then look to bring that experience that you've got to bear on that.
Exactly, because I think we can actually say that quite a lot of the tier one banks, for example, already have pretty high internalisation levels, but maybe with some of the regionals, it's something that they're looking to develop towards, and that's where we want to step in.
And it gives you, I guess it gives you a different string to your bow.
Yeah.
And that kind of becomes important for you in your development going forward as well, doesn't it?
Exactly. I think for me, I always enjoyed being in the FX industry because there's so much to learn and always new things kind of popping up. If someone said to me that you'd be selling an internalisation product in like 5 years, I would have said, what on earth is that?
Yes, exactly, yeah. And actually, isn't that against what we do?
Yeah. But it's part of being so varied in this industry. Again, with data, something that wasn't being sold before, but now is, and quite competitively as well. So, many strings to the bow, and I'm sure there'll be many more to come.
Yeah, well, I can guarantee you there will. As someone who's been in it slightly longer, I'm interested in actually the role of technology in your job.
Sure.
And how that's changed. Because, I guess, the generation you've emerged from is very tech savvy.
Yeah.
But even in the last 7 years, that has really changed quite a lot, I imagine.
For sure, and I think I've been able to see that more profoundly in the role that I have now. So I guess as salespeople, we all have access to the Power BI tools that we'll use on a daily basis to kind of track how our clients are doing. But where it has maybe taken more shape has been where we've hired quants, for example, and invested in that and kind of used that as a way with technology to better contextualize what's happening with clients' trades. For example, being able to replay the trades and see what might have happened if you maybe executed it like an hour later, stuff like that. So that has been a very kind of interesting use of technology to try and improve the situation for clients and how they trade.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially around things like market impact.
Yeah, exactly.
Trades. Yeah. I think it's, do you find yourself intrigued by AI? Or is it something you go, well, I'll let it develop a bit further?
I love AI.
Okay, good.
I think it's a great assistant to everything that we're doing. And I guess in a very controversial way, maybe it's kind of how voice sales might have seen EFX sales. That they thought maybe that we were competition, but instead we're actually assisting and helping to grow part of the FX business. So I kind of see AI as that to EFX. And I think that there are many things that it could probably do in the future, and it would be great if we can look into ways where we might be able to best service our clients that way, maybe like a dashboard that incorporates AI that can do great things. That would be very cool for the future.
And I guess that kind of actually leads me into like my, our sort of closing questions around how you see the industry developing.
Yeah.
Do you think it becomes in, like new and interesting products that this blend of human and technology can develop?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think as we look to, again, keep up with the market and keep up with the trends and also keep up with our clients and sometimes stay a step ahead of clients, we definitely need to, we definitely need to have something that blends, again, humans and technology, because we can all only do so much and equally technology can only do so much.
Yeah.
So if we marry that together, it's going to be an unstoppable force.
That's what we like. I mean, this kind of makes my next question a little bit futile. And so, how optimistic are you for the future of the foreign exchange industry?
I mean, maybe as you might be able to tell, I'm a massive optimist anyway.
Yes.
So probably the worst person to ask that question. But what I, again, love about EFX is that it's constantly evolving and it's constantly changing. There hasn't been a single year that's remained the same. For example, even with my role now at Euronext FX, we recently just launched some new currency pairs, for metals, that previously weren't being traded, and something that I'm kind of getting interested about and very excited about, especially with the regional names that I cover, is possibly looking towards frontier pairs, where they're not typically electronified, but I'm sure if we are speaking about this in about a year, 2 years' time, we'll start to see them being traded a bit more actively. So I think there's no kind of limit to where EFX can kind of go. Again, as you mentioned with AI, there's a lot of room to kind of grow there. There's various different products, maybe in terms of making algos even smarter and kind of maybe incorporating AI into that, or even the further electronification of forwards and swaps as well as options, for example, where they're kind of lagging behind spot. I think there's so much more that can be done in this industry, and it's not done yet.
And I guess then equally, then you're as optimistic about your future and how you can evolve your role.
For sure. And as I was saying, there's so many different products that I didn't used to sell before that I am now selling. So, as I said, I think there's going to be many more things that will come in the future that could either be different products or even like enhanced functionalities, for example, that might be of interest to clients that will, again, evolve to suit what clients need or want now.
And so if we do come back in 1 or 2 years, you'll either be very successful at Euronext or you've taken my job.
Yes. I'll be interviewing someone else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you can say, well, I said 2 years ago that frontier pairs are going to be electronified. Mercedes, as always, lovely to speak to you. Great to get your insight. I can only wish you good luck on your continued journey in our industry. Glad we played just a very small part in helping you along the way. And hopefully we can do this again sometime in the future.
I hope so. Thank you, Colin.
And thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back again very soon with another video.